Here at Helmuth Ford, we are a small town dealership with no hassle and no pressure.
Mayhem Haunted House at 13011 120th Ave in Ottumwa invite you to their second annual Trunk or Treat and Lighted Tour on Saturday, October 12th. Trunk or Treat from 6 to 7 p.m. is free. Lighted Tour from 6 to 7:30 is $10. And get a full scale from 7:30 to 9 for $15 per person. Come find out why Mayhem Haunted House has been voted the best haunted house in Iowa for multiple times. Open for the Halloween season, Friday and Saturdays, October 18th through November 2nd. Cost is $15. Get ready to scream at Mayhem Haunted House in Ottumwa.
Watch Pekin Panther football live right here this fall on Steve Shetler Media, Facebook, and YouTube with live announcers and an updated scoreboard, plus an area scoreboard to keep you updated on other schools of interest. It's Pekin Panther football live right here on Steve Shetler Media. Delta Fire and Rescue presents the Delta Haunted House at 109 North Center Street in Delta. Admission is just $10 per person. The Delta Haunted House is open each Friday and Saturday throughout October and on Halloween night from 8 to 10 p.m. Food and drinks will be available for purchase, and now accepting cash and most major credit cards. It's the Delta Fire and Rescue Delta Haunted House, Fridays and Saturdays in October and on Halloween night.
Welcome back to the show!
Welcome back to the show!
And now, your hosts of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the For Frequency's Sake Tag Team Champions of the World, the Wizard CZ, and never wrong, Nick Bull.
Hello, everyone, one and all, and welcome to another exciting edition of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the podcast by the fan for the fan. We're so glad you're with us. We are powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, and protected by Jared Zook of Country Financial. Of course, I am your host, never wrong, Nick Bull. We're so glad you're back to join us this week for another edition, episode 151. My goodness. And I'd be remiss if I did not mention my tag team partner, the co-champ of the For Frequency's Sake Network. We defend these titles on a weekly basis, I would say.
We do.
He is the one, the only, the Wizard CZ. Wiz, how you doing?
Man, I am doing pretty good. Lazy day for me. Didn't do much anything other than paid homage to the boys down at Lopez for a little bit. Stopped down and hung out with our wrestle friends down there, and other than that, just been an easy day. I'm ready to talk about last night's pay-per-view, though. Holy crap.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Of course, our friends at SCW had their Wicked Ways show in Bluegrass last night. I was not able to make it, had some family stuff going on, but later on got around to watching. Neither one of us
were able to make it for
neither one of us got around to watching, I want to call it Hell in a Cell, but it was Bad Blood from Georgia. From Atlanta, had a Hell in a Cell match, of course. But man, what can we say here? I mean, we're going to sound like a broken record here when we talk about this pay-per-view, but you know, WWE just seems to be clicking on all cylinders right now. Another home run of a pay-per-view. Really good matches. Set some things up for the future, and of course, plenty to talk about as we break down Bad Blood here. Bad Blood, it was on the 27th year to the day of the very first Bad Blood, where we had Shawn Michaels and Undertaker in the first Hell in a Cell match. And of course, how can you ever forget the debut of It's Kane? But I digress.
That's gotta be Kane.
27 years ago, CZ.
Ooh, man, that dates us a little bit, doesn't it?
What were you doing 27 years ago?
I was watching Bad Blood, probably, most likely.
Yeah, or I was.
The memory machine's not that good, so.
Regardless, Bad Blood full of memories last night. I don't know where you want to kick off. I think it's fair. I'd like to start with how the pay-per-view started with the Hell in a Cell match between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. WWE has invested quite a bit of time into this feud. And what I mean by that is, they kind of kicked this off back at the Royal Rumble. Maybe even before that, when CM Punk made his return at Survivor Series and Drew McIntyre was one of the more visibly upset superstars, stormed out of the ring, stormed out of the arena that night upon Punk's return. Of course, Punk gets injured via Drew McIntyre in the Royal Rumble match. And while Punk was healing, this feud kind of really took off and hit its legs. It was included at WrestleMania, even though Punk didn't wrestle at it. He appeared and cost Drew that World Heavyweight Championship that he won for Seth Rollins and then lost 5.5 minutes later to Damian Priest. So there was a lot of layers, I think, to this feud. And I want to credit both guys. I see DJ says CM Punk was not protected by Jared Zook at Mania. I'll tell you who was not protected was Drew McIntyre's head. If you've been able to see those pictures that Drew posted on social media today, probably a little too grotesque to post in this room, but go ahead and seek for yourself. McIntyre received 18 staples, like to the top of the head right here in the picture that I seen. I know I sent it to you, so I wanted you to see it. Unreal, but I just want to give credit to the development of this story, of this feud before this blow-off match that we saw last night. Both guys, I thought, were at the top of their game. Hey, they may be buddies in the back. I don't know, but they had me believing they hated each other.
And I agree. I completely agree.
Today's wrestling, I think that's a lost thing. I think, some of the magic has gone away from current wrestling. Believing these guys hate each other. And I had a solid belief these guys hated each other and did not care for each other. And it came across in their work, it came across in their promos, and it came across in the 3 matches, that they had with each other. So a tip of the cap to CM Punk and Drew McIntyre for really digging in and giving us something we all could sink our teeth into. I don't care if you're a CM Punk or a Drew McIntyre fan. I've said this on the show before. Both these guys have went above and beyond in this feud to bring you in, to get you interested in this feud. We'll talk about later why it didn't go on last. But
it should have.
Now we know why it went on first. And I agree. It should have went on last. But there were other plans in the works. As Triple Paul, from Triple Paul, as you will see here as we talk about this show. But I just wanted to give props and respect to Drew and CM Punk for taking us on a ride and making it feel like old school wrestling again, that they hated each other all over a silly, friendship bracelet. Had legs at WrestleMania. Of course, they had a match at SummerSlam. Was that their first or second match? SummerSlam. I think SummerSlam was their first match, was it not?
I believe so, yes.
Can't remember where their second match was. I'm a little foggy right now. But of course, Bad Blood was the finale for now. I don't think it's over. I think they're going to revisit this in the future. I told you that last night. I told you that last night in text, because we text each other's show notes so we remember what we want to talk about. And I texted CZ after the show. I go, I don't think this is over. I think we're going to see these two again down the road. But I think they closed the book on this one for now with the ending.
Let it cool off a bit.
And I'm gonna give him even more props. There wasn't the outrageous off the cage or the side of the cage spot. They took us on a ride, and we didn't need that big spot. Both guys, of course, were bloody. It was vicious. It was brutal. It was physical. They did a good job of showing that. Drew's cut looked really bad with the amount of blood. He was bleeding right away and just solid red. And I was legitimately worried for him. It was gushing, yes. And Punk was bleeding, but it didn't look nearly as bad as Drew's. But these guys told a great story. Props to these guys. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was the match of the night. Kind of set the tone for the rest of the pay-per-view. But what do you think about this match? I'm done gushing about it. I loved it.
I mean, like I said, this match deserved to be the main event. Okay, so you and I have played some WWE 2K recently in GM mode.
Oh, sure.
GM mode's formula is that the first match in the main event should be the best two matches on the card, with the main being the number one match. Now, I think the first and the last match were the best two on the card, but I think they should have been switched. I understand why they didn't. I understand. We'll get to that in a little bit, but this should definitely have ended the show. And phenomenal match. It didn't need any outside BS. It didn't need to go outside the cage. They utilized the cage and the weapons under the ring to the best of their ability. It was well put together, and I texted you last night and you didn't really have a response for me. I'm gonna ask you again. Does this signify the start of the end of the PG era?
You did ask that last night via text, and I kind of like, I'll save my answer for the show. But you said that, and that was before the blood really started coming between both these guys. And I gotta believe maybe it was a very quiet, unceremonious passing of the torch in the night between eras, but it seems to me, after the amount of blood that was between not one but two competitors last night, and it wasn't over the top. It wasn't horror movie blood. It was believable for what was going on in the fight. I thought Drew had a deep blade job until I saw that picture today. That's not a blade job. That was from that toolbox, I think. The toolbox.
I think it hit him with the corner. Hit him in the corner.
Where Punk took the toolbox like this and went back behind his head and hit Drew coming through the ropes. I think back to the Claymore that Drew tried to hit Punk with and missed, and comes down on his back on the side of the steps.
Yes.
Just how visceral and brutal it was. I can't. This was great. If you love old fashioned feuds in the WWE or in any type of wrestling, they're telling a story. They hate each other. They're beating the crap out of each other. There's blood involved. There's weapons involved. They're in a cell. This is the thing to go watch. It is Punk and McIntyre. It was a masterpiece for their rivalry. It really put the bow on the package of their rivalry. And if it's done, great. I think there's going to be more in the future. I think I texted you. I got an inkling that this isn't the last time we see these guys. I got a feeling that maybe McIntyre wins the Rumble, and then maybe by that time Punk is the champion or does become champion, and then you've got an instant feud you can just throw these guys back into. But that's wild say right now. That's hearsay. That's me fantasy booking. But I could see a path where McIntyre and Punk definitely meet back up.
I can too. I agree wholeheartedly, and I won't say no to it. I won't
either. I won't either. I know what these guys can do on the mic against each other. I know how they can build a feud now. I know what they can do in the ring with each other. Let's do it again somewhere down the road. Not right now, but let's revisit this somewhere down the road.
I agree 100%. And that I'm going to transition from that into the next match that I want to talk about, because I don't want to put it off any longer. We're going to go out of order. This is card subject to change, but I want to talk about Rhea and Liv.
Okay.
We talked about what a great rivalry that CM Punk and Drew have had. And you can say the same about Liv and Rhea with the whole Dom storyline, the love triangle. Let me give you a hot take.
Hot take incoming. Alert, alert, hot take incoming.